Well, welcome. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. First of all, big thank you to Delphine and the team at Alexandria for getting these webinars up and running. There's quite a lot that goes on behind the scenes, so thanks for that. This is the second in the series of web design, and today I'm going to be talking about search engine optimization, SEO, and content marketing. But really what this is all about is how to get more traffic, to your website. So, first of all, very brief introduction about me. I run a translation company, well, one from Colombia, one from the UK, and also I love the internet and I love getting involved in all of these things that are going on online. That, of course, includes web design and it includes SEO. So that's enough about me. Let's get cracking with today's presentation. First of all, what am I going to cover? I'm going to be talking about what is SEO, what is it all about, and really divided into two main areas. They would be on-page SEO and off-page SEO. And also we're going to have a look at how to build your brand with content marketing, a very special and useful technique. So I wanted to start off by talking about clients, and I think really it's a reality that clients will not just find you. Some people, or many people in fact, believe that that is the case. I've spoken to many entrepreneurs and translators over the years who think that it's just sufficient to design a website, get it up online, and that's it. Clients will simply start flocking in and business will start rolling. Unfortunately, that is not the case, just as it's not the case in many other industries. I'm sure you've heard of many stories from great authors who say things like at the start of their careers they had this great book and they went round any number of publishing houses trying to get an offer, and they had rejection after rejection after rejection before they finally got success. Also, the guy behind Kentucky Fried Chicken, well, I'm a bit of a fast food addict myself, Colonel Sanders, he of course had to go and talk to many people before he could get his recipe up and running and get the message out there, if you like, get the product out there. So you really do have to do quite a bit of work in order to get your brand or to get your services in front of the right people being potential buyers. Word of mouth does of course work very well. If you do a good job for someone, it is highly likely that they are going to tell someone else about it. However, it's perhaps a little bit slower, that type of growth. What I'm encouraging you to do is to get the word out online. Online is the future. Let's focus on developing a brand via the internet, and in particular via your website. So first of all, I'm going to take a look at what is SEO. What is search engine optimization? What is this all about? Well, let's have a look at a couple of definitions here. So search engine optimization, SEO, is the process of getting traffic from the free, organic, editorial, or natural search results on search engines. When you go into Google and you type something in, you will see different results. You will typically see paid results at the top of the page and sometimes on the sidebar, and then you will see the organic or natural search results. So SEO is all about getting a good position, preferably position 1, 2, or 3 within the natural search results for your particular keyword. And of course we'll come on to keywords in just a minute. Search engine marketing is a form of internet marketing that involves the promotion of websites by increasing their visibility primarily through paid advertising, mainly through paid advertising. And finally, PPC, or pay per click, which I'll be covering, of course, in the third webinar of this series, is basically where advertisers pay a fee each time one of their ads is clicked on. So this is essentially a way of buying visits to your site. So we've got the natural at the top, which is SEO, and we've got PPC, which is paid, at the bottom. Now, these definitions can get a little bit blurred. Often search engine marketing is defined as including both SEO and PPC. I would really encourage you to focus on SEO on the one hand and PPC on the other hand, and it is important to have both of those strategies within your overall marketing model. If you only have PPC, it is going to be expensive. If you only have SEO, it might be a little bit slow in terms of getting started and continuing to run. So actually having both of them together can be a very successful strategy. So I'm going to have a look now at exactly what happens within Google, because it's important that we understand how the world's biggest search engine actually works. A couple of nice images there, one of a panda, one of a penguin. These of course refer to updates within the Google algorithm. What is the Google algorithm? Well, the Google algorithm is exactly how they decide what search results appear in each position. So let's say that you type in best German translator. If you type that into Google, then Google will run a series of algorithms based on different websites and their performance and their links and their history, how old the page is and everything else, and Google will decide which website will appear in position number 1 for that particular keyword, and position number 2 and position number 3 and so on. Now, because it's very valuable to appear in position 1, that is going to get you a lot more traffic. People over the years have tried different tricks in order to appear in first place. Unfortunately, some unscrupulous operators have tried tactics such as stealing other people's content and posting it on their own website, or posting articles that might be nonsensical in English because they are so stuffed with keywords, but in terms of the Google algorithm, for some periods they did actually work. Now, what Google has said, officially or perhaps unofficially, is that they don't want that kind of false or fake content. They want real, valuable human content. And these panda and penguin updates, panda coming out in 2011 and penguin coming out in 2012, are designed specifically to combat that kind of behavior. So panda really goes against duplicate content and low levels of original content, and penguin is specifically designed to stop people from buying backlinks. Well, it can't stop people from buying backlinks, buying fake links to their site or useless links to their site, but it can penalize those sites. And really what Google is saying is, if you use some of these suspect tactics, then it is very likely that your website will be penalized and that you will move down the Google rankings. Of course, if you do things right, you don't need to worry about any of this at all. You should just set up a website honestly. You should produce nice, good, honest content, and you won't have any problems at all. But it is worth understanding a little bit about how it works. Okay, well, now I'm going to go on to keywords, and because this is absolutely really important in terms of what happens in terms of your website. First of all, what is a keyword? So keywords are words or phrases that users type into a search box of a search engine such as Google, and they do that, of course, in order to find sites that match what they are looking for. So let's have a look at a couple of examples of keywords. Translator is a keyword, as you can see. It is, of course, one word. French translator, 2 words, is also a keyword. So a keyword can contain any number of words. If you are looking for something in a bit more detail, you might type in French translator in London if you were looking for a French translator in London. Getting even more specific, you might type in French to English financial translator based in London. That would be what we would call a long tail keyword, a long keyword consisting of a number of different words. Now, long tail keywords are very, very important in terms of your own website. If you look at a term such as translator, you're going to get many, many hits that are really not that relevant. But if you are a French to English financial translator in London, you should perhaps be targeting longer tail keywords. Let me show you. Let's jump into Google now and have a look at what is happening when we type in exactly those keywords. So let's first of all type in translator. In fact, I'm going to start with French translator. So French translator. French translator. Okay. Now typing in French translator here, there's a couple of interesting points. First of all, I can't see any adverts. There's no adverts here, which suggests that this really isn't a very valuable keyword that people are willing to pay for, which is, well, quite interesting actually. So then also what I notice here is that most of these services are sort of, well, Google Translate, free Babylon translation. They're really sort of translation software. They don't really relate to a translator, the type of translator that we are, of course. So that's, if you're targeting new business, that's really perhaps a keyword that you don't want. Now, let's change things. French translator in London. When I put in French translator in London, you can immediately see now we have adverts here. We have an advert here on the right-hand side. We don't have any adverts at the bottom, but we do have adverts at the top and on the side, which suggests that this is a competitive keyword. So you can see that these companies here are paying to appear in these positions, and if I were to click on one of those links, they would be charged for that. Then we can see the natural results. So we have this one here that is a translation company, appears to be a translation company, appearing in first place in Google. And this is where you want to get to with good SEO. So with good SEO, you can get to this position here. So it's really important to understand the keywords that you are targeting. And we'll have a little bit more of a look at that later on, exactly how to find the keywords for your particular industry. But it is important to have a little think about how you would, what kind of words you should be targeting. Okay, well, let's have a bit more of a look at SEO now. SEO, as I stated earlier, is divided up into two main areas: on-page elements and off-page elements, or on-page SEO and off-page SEO. Now, you should be doing both of these in order to have a successful overall strategy. On-page is everything that happens on the page itself. So that refers to the content of any pages or any blog posts, whether that content has, for example, the correct title tags, whether you have images on that page, that would be classed as content, whether those images have what are referred to as alt tags. Do your images have the correct alt tags? So all of that, everything that actually goes on the page itself, would be classed as on-page SEO. Everything that happens off the page is referred to as off-page SEO. Obvious, right? So if we look at off-page SEO, I'm going to talk about two main areas. The first area is links. I briefly mentioned backlinks earlier, but if you can get links to your site from other people's sites, as long as those sites are good and they are real links, then that is going to boost the SEO power, if you like, of your own particular site. So you want to get links from other people's good sites. The second area to take into account is social. You might choose to share your website via Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and so on. And because that action is taking place off your page, even though you are referring back to your page, it is classified as off-page SEO. A bit more detail now in terms of what we can actually do. Well, first of all, good content. We're now focusing on the page. Good content, good content. How many times do I need to say or state that? Well, probably I'm going to keep saying it because it probably is the #1 most important factor in terms of having a high quality web page. High quality content, write good pages, write good descriptions about yourself, about your company, write good blog posts that go on the page, on the website, and so on. Title tags. Well, first of all, I would say that writing for the internet, whatever you write on your website, is very different to writing a normal text. Now, for those of us that used to write essays at school, or for anyone who's written a book or that kind of thing, you might just sit down and you just write normally. I would say, you know, you write it normally. When we are writing online, it is different because not only do we have the text itself, we also have a whole series of tags that go with that text. So you have categories, you have tags, you have title tags, you have meta tags, you have alt tags. So these are all ways of labeling your text so that the search engines can find it easily, and that's very, very important. You need to really think about the way that you put your text together, and very importantly, how you label that text. We'll be having a look at a really clear example as we go through this presentation. The third one there relates to permalinks. That is essentially the link of your web page. I'm sure you've all seen different types of links. Perhaps you haven't paid that much attention to them. But an example of a good link would be www.translatorblog/10 tips for freelance translators, something like that. So it actually tells you what the post is all about. An example of a bad link would be www.translatorblog/post number/13489. For example. That doesn't really tell you anything about what is going on in that blog post, and therefore it is not SEO friendly. So we want to focus on changing the permalink settings within WordPress, if you're using WordPress, so that you are using something that is SEO friendly. The image alt text. Very important to have images, but you shouldn't just have random images with no labels. The image alt text are the labels that go with images, and they give you SEO juice. So when you put images up on your website, it's important to label them. If you are putting up a picture of you being the best French translator in London, well, the image should be labeled French translator in London, or best French translator in London, or translation services London, or something like that, something that is going to have some kind of SEO value. Links, very important. We've talked about backlinks. Well, backlinks are essentially an off-page tool because they happen off your page, of course, but there are links that you can put on your page that are very useful. First of all, you can link, you can produce or set up internal links. So that would be a link to other parts of your page. So you might write about something and realize that you have written about something similar in the past on your blog, or something related or something relevant, and you set up an internal link within your text. You can also set up outbound links, so you might want to reference, I don't know, the American Translators Association or something, or an article by someone else, an article by one of your colleagues, or some other related service. I'm using the word related a lot. I think that's important. You can't just set up random links, of course. You need to set up things that are completely relevant. But those links do have SEO value. Also important to have fast loading pages. Google looks at a number of different factors. It looks at the age of the page, which you can't really do much about, but it looks at the speed at which your page loads, which you can do something about. A couple of quick tips: make sure that you don't have any broken links on your site, make sure your site is working, and also make sure that you have images that are not too heavy, because the more images you have, the heavier and slower your site will be to load. And if you just upload images without adjusting them. Sometimes you can upload very heavy images that can really slow your site down. So that's something to avoid there. More on-page tips. Well, very important to have videos and images on your website, even if they don't have any direct or don't contribute directly to SEO. I'm willing to make a bet that in the time it's taken me to talk about that first point, you've noticed that rather silly image of me on the right. This, of course, has absolutely nothing to do with SEO, but it's to make the point that we, as humans, are attracted to images often more than the written word. So images and video, anything that you can put on your website to get attention, will help your SEO indirectly. Why? Well, one of the reasons is it will help to make your content much more interesting, much more shareable. It will also help reduce the bounce rate on your website. So don't produce a boring website that's just completely full of text and focused on getting SEO juice. Focus on having a balanced site with a nice balance between images and text. So reducing the bounce rate, that is where someone comes onto your site and only looks at one page before leaving. That contributes to the bounce rate. We don't want visitors to look at only one page. We want visitors to look at a whole range of pages. And more than that, something that I've talked about in a previous webinar, we also want visitors to take action. So what kind of action do you want a visitor to take when they are on your page? If you want them to quote a document after they've read the text, it would make an awful lot of sense if you have a quote document or free quote now or something like that button at the bottom of the page. When you are focusing on keywords, the keyword should appear early on in the content. That seems to make a lot of sense in terms of the Google algorithm. So make sure that you know what your keyword is, and when you're writing that particular text, make sure that the keyword appears early on in whatever content it is that you are putting on your website, whether it is a blog post or whether it is a page, a static page on your website. I really recommend that you go for the type of website that has some static content on it. So let's say about me, my services, all that kind of stuff. That would be fairly static content, together with a blog that is going to really help you in terms of content marketing. And just a reminder here at the bottom, don't forget those long tail keywords. Russian translator, well, that might be okay, and you might get some business or some traffic from that keyword, but as we get more and more specific, it is going to be more relevant to your particular services, and the people that arrive on your site are much more likely to convert. By convert, I mean do something valuable. In other words, call you or send you an email or interact with you or ask for a quote. That's really what we want. What's the point of having loads and loads of traffic to our website if we don't have people taking action? So having those long tail keywords can really help with targeted traffic. Here I've just got an example of the permalinks that I mentioned a little earlier on. As you can see, the first one is better than the second one. Well, I hope you can see that. Let's have a look at it. So the first one relates to a compact system camera. It's a Sony. It's a Nex 5, and it's black, and it relates to the lens. So we're probably looking at the lens for a particular Sony camera. That's what I would assume from that. The second one gives us absolutely no information at all. It's just product number 77650. Well, that's obviously not very useful to us, and it's not very useful to SEO. So try and make sure that your permalinks are set up correctly within WordPress. Very easy to do, of course. Okay, well, let's have a look at some off-page SEO now. So this is everything that happens off your page. And I think two of the most important strategies are link building and social media. So what can be done in terms of link building and social media? Well, first of all, what is link building? It's the process of getting external sites to link to your site. How can you go about doing that? Well, one of the ways to do it is to set yourself up for some guest blogs. In other words, go and write a blog for someone else's website. You might think, well, why would I want to do that? Well, the idea is that if you write a text, a useful, relevant text for someone else, for someone else's website, then that will provide valuable content to their audience. So they're going to be very happy to receive valuable content. At the same time, some of those people are likely to be interested in your services, in your website, and then they are going to click through to your website. So let me give you an example. Of course, you can do a guest blog on another translator's website, and that might be one option. But in my opinion, even better if you can get a blog post on, let's say, a business website. I don't know, you might choose to write something like the 10 most important points for a company looking for a translation provider, or something like that. Of course, that's not a great title, but something like that. And you write on this business-related site, and it's useful content for their readers, and some people might click through to your website. So it's a way of getting a link to your site, which gives you SEO value, and also a way, of course, of getting real customers. Talking about customers, it's always a good idea to ask your customers and colleagues to link to your website. If you ask, people are often very helpful and will often link to your website, sometimes in return for something else that you can help them with, such as a link back to their website. So that's called a link exchange, where you simply exchange links. One point worth remembering throughout all of this, of course, is that we're not just talking about random links. They need to be relevant. They need to be links that are going to be useful to people on your website. It's no good having a translation website and linking to McDonald's unless you've got a particular relevant reason for doing so, which you could have, of course. The next one down, build a company blog. I've mentioned already the idea of having a static website plus some kind of blog. Now, they can all be on the same website. In fact, I think that is often better. But it is really important to have a blog, to have content that you are updating on some kind of regular basis. I think there's a bit of a confusion over the term blog sometimes. People still today imagine on some occasions that it's about telling people what you are up to on a daily or a weekly basis, and it doesn't need to be that. A blog can be about anything that's going on in the industry, anything that is relevant. So there's really a wide range of topics that you can focus on. Of course, throughout all of this, you should focus on awesome content. Awesome content is shareable. If you read something and you love it, you're much more likely to share it. If it's something that's boring, not very interesting, you're really not going to bother sharing it at all. So at the heart of this whole strategy is producing really relevant or awesome content. Social media, of course, you can promote your site through LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and many others. A couple of points here. First of all, it is something that you should do on a constant basis, something that you should do on a constant basis. Now, that might be every week, it might be every month, but it's something that should certainly be continuous. The other thing to bear in mind is to have a balance between promoting your site and between actually offering or sharing valuable content. You shouldn't just be pumping your site out on these social media channels saying, hey, come to my site, hey, come to my site. You should be sharing valuable content, perhaps with your site hidden at the bottom somewhere So people know it's you, people know it's your brand, but you are sharing valuable content, which then hopefully people will share with others. So that's really key when it comes to social media. Okay, well, I'm going to try and put this all together now and really have a look at building your brand with a content marketing strategy. Content marketing is very interesting because, first of all, it's very effective, and also it's a combination of both on-page and off-page SEO. On-page in the sense that the content actually sits on your web page, and off-page in the sense that you are marketing it off the page, so elsewhere through social media channels and so on. So how might we go about something like this? Well, first of all, make sure that you are adding relevant content on a periodic basis. I've already talked about this. It might be every day. That's going to be way too much for most people. It might be every week, much more realistic. If you can't keep up with every week, at least every month. Every month is still valuable, but it does need to be something that you issue regularly. Once it's up and running on your website, tell people about it. Tell people about your new content. And last but not least, and last but perhaps should have been first, is identify your audience. The chap on the right there represents an avatar. In other words, what kind of person are you looking to attract to your website? Are you looking for that guy? Who is he? Is he a marketing director of a multinational company based in a certain location? Try and have a think for a minute about what kind of audience you want to attract. And I think one of the mistakes that we all make is providing too much content for other translators, for our colleagues, and not enough content for potential clients. So have a think about who you want to attract to your website, and then write content for that person. Don't try and write for everyone. Try and write specific content directed at a specific market. Aim for a good length of content. I think 1,500 words is pretty good. It used to be said that articles could be of the order of 400 words or so, but I think Google is giving a bit more value to more meaty texts these days, real texts, not just texts that have been written for the sake of SEO. So write naturally, write something that perhaps is a little bit longer and a little bit more detailed. Always add images for the visitor, as we've talked about already, and add keyword dense text for search engines. Writing for search engines is not exactly the same as writing normally. And to talk about the two extremes, if you write normally, you perhaps won't use the keyword at all, or very rarely. If you overuse your keyword, you will end up with a text such as the following. I am the best French translator in London. I'm always translating from French to English, but I'm definitely the best French translator in London because of my qualifications. I'm the best French translator in London. So, of course, that would sound completely nonsensical. It sounds completely ridiculous, and it's called keyword stuffing, where we try and get the keyword in there as many times as possible to the complete detriment of the value of the text. Okay, what's the right answer? Like many things in life, find a balance between the two. Put the keyword in just enough times to really register on Google, but not overly so. I don't think it's based specifically on numbers, but there are some numbers out there that say that the keyword should appear something like 3%, 5% of the time in the text. So in 100 words, the keyword should appear 3 times or something like that, just to give you an idea. Okay, well, easy to upload your content to your site, especially if you are using WordPress. This is not something that we need some kind of technical expert in order to do for us. We can all do it ourselves using our content management systems. WordPress, of course, is the most popular. Once we've uploaded it, we need to add all of the appropriate tags and categories to that text, and we can use an SEO plugin to optimize title tags. I'm going to go into my WordPress system in a minute and show you exactly how that works. The one on the right there, Yoast, that is an image of the WordPress, or related to the WordPress plugin, SEO plugin that is offered by that particular company, a very good one, as it helps you put in all of these tags automatically. You don't really need to, I mean, one way of adding all of the tags, of course, is through HTML programming, and you can add all of the tags yourself, but it's very complicated. You don't need to use that these days. There's plugins out there that can really help you make things very, very straightforward and add not only the title tags but also the tags to the images. So add all of the correct tags. Okay, well, just another point here worth mentioning is, again, it's obvious, I think we've talked about it a little bit already, but content without distribution is like having a newspaper without a delivery system. Now, you might not get your newspaper delivered by a newspaper boy on a bike these days, but there is a distribution system in place. The newspapers are probably loaded into trucks or vans and delivered to local shops or stores where people go and buy them. So there is absolutely a delivery system in place. It's no good for them having a bunch of great writers and their text is just sitting, their newspapers are just sitting in a warehouse. So perhaps it's an obvious point, but it's really, really worth thinking about. It's not just about your content, it's about getting your content out there to the marketplace. Distribution channels. What distribution channels do you have for your web text? Well, many different distribution channels out there, of course. If you have an email list, I would recommend that you use that. LinkedIn is great. Twitter, of course, very interesting. Even Facebook can be used to distribute your content. It can be very time consuming if you, let's say, want to send 5 tweets in a day. Even though it only takes a few seconds to send a tweet, you've got to go into Twitter and send a tweet, and then you've got to come back in a couple of hours and go in and send a tweet, which is why I really recommend the use of scheduling tools such as Hootsuite. These scheduling tools allow you to program tweets and other social media updates, such as via LinkedIn, for the future. So you can sit down at the computer for a while, an hour or so, set up all of these updates for the week ahead, and then go off and get on with other things, knowing that your updates are going to be sent out automatically. So very important, that one. Promote interaction. It's not just enough, it's not sufficient, again, just to put your text up and expect everything to happen automatically. You really need to promote blog comments, because comments will increase SEO value. If we look back at the example of a newspaper, then really most people read the newspaper, they might talk about it with their friends and family and so on, but actually there's not going to be a lot of interaction in the same way as we can create on the internet. So encourage comments, encourage people to comment on your blog posts, and that will bring even more SEO value. So promote interaction. Okay, well, we've arrived at the end of the formal PowerPoint part of the presentation now, but before we have a look at the conclusions, I want to go and really have a look at some real examples on the internet. So let's have a look at some of the things that are going on here. Well, first of all, how can we look at keywords? How can we find the right keywords for our particular area? Well, there's a number of ways, and I'm going to go through a couple now. The first one is to use the Google Keyword Planner. So let's go into the Google Keyword Planner. So I'm just going to type Google. You do need a Google account, of course, to do all this stuff. So Google Keyword Planner. Right, here we go. Just going to sign into my account. Okay, well, the idea of this keyword planner is just to give you a selection of keywords. You need to know what sort of keywords you want to target, what sort of keywords you can include in your content, what sort of keywords bring you new business, and so on and so on. So search for new keywords using a phrase, website, or category. So let's say Spanish translator this time in London. Let's say that's my product or service. So all locations, all languages. Let's have a look. Get ideas. Okay, well, very interesting. So it's coming up with certain things that perhaps are not immediately obvious if I'm a Spanish translator in London. It's got London Spanish. Okay, what have we got in London Spanish? Let's have a look. Okay, Spanish translator London. Average monthly search is 70. Spanish translation London 10. Very low in terms of monthly searches. Other things are not relevant, of course. Spanish companies in London, if I'm offering Spanish translation services, that's probably not what I'm looking for. Spanish translator jobs, okay, interesting, but maybe not what I want on my website. So a couple of keywords that we might take from there. We can have a look at professional translation service, so on and so on. Professional Spanish translation, 140 monthly searches. Okay, we're starting to get interesting if we are at the top of the tree in terms of Google. So this will give you some ideas, not only in terms of the monthly searches, but also in terms of the keywords to select. Now, something like Spanish jobs, okay, it has a very high number of monthly searches, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a great keyword for us. We might be okay with some of the lower keywords in terms of numbers because they're much more specific. So if someone lands on our website as a result of having typed in that keyword, then it is much more likely that they are going to be interested in our particular services. So anyway, that gives you an idea of how to use that one. Another one is just to use Google. This is a very simple way. Let's type in the same keyword, Spanish translator in London. Okay, so we've got a few paid adverts here, another paid one here, and then we've got the organic results. So Spanish translator London here in first place. Scrolling down, we've got a couple of related searches, Spanish interpreter jobs and translation Spanish to English. So you can actually use these in order to find other keywords. So you can use these two as keywords, and then you can look on this one and see what other keywords we have at the bottom. So I don't think this is the best example because it's taken me to Spanish interpreter jobs. So let me try another one. French translator. Okay, well, French translator down at the bottom here. Again, these are the ones that I don't really want, the free translator. So let's be a bit more specific. French translation services, perhaps. What do we have down here? Okay, now, so we started off with this keyword here, French translation services. At the bottom, we have French to English translation services, professional English to French translation, French document translation, professional French translation free, perhaps not, but we've got three, what I would say, potentially good keywords there that we can write down and have a look at and analyze and see if that's something that we're interested in. We can also click on this one or on any of them there, and that will then give us another selection of keywords here at the bottom. So it's something that you can keep following through that trail and jotting down, making a note of the keywords that you think are relevant to you. There's another tool out there. This one is keywordtool.io. Again, similar sort of idea. So you can type in your keyword here, French translation services. Just hit return. Obviously, there's a number of different settings that you can look at. It's not showing us the search volume. I think you have to get the pro version for that, but it does give you an idea of some keywords that you can adapt. So French translation services, South Africa, is that relevant to you? Translation French to English services, So it gives you different variations that you can look at and see if those keywords are relevant to your particular service. Okay, what I'm going to do now is have a look within WordPress at how this all fits together. So this is inside the back end of one of my websites. This is a post that is called How to Be a Location Independent Translator. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how that actually looks on the front end, so we can get an idea of the front end and the back end. So just loading that up now. So always seems to take longer when you're on live. So how to be a location independent translator. This is what this post looks like. So it's a podcast, it has a recording there, it has the image, and this is the text, which obviously needs tidying up, but that's more or less what the front end looks like. So let's have a look at the back end now. So this is the text here that I've entered the text. You can see I've got a link here, so I've got an outbound link, and over on the right hand side you can see that I've got all of these different things where I'm inputting automatically. So I've got categories here, very easy to enter different categories, add new category, and I've got tags. So I've got location independent translator, podcast, PPC translators, SEO translators, and so on. Okay, so those are the tags that I've chosen for this particular post. I've got an image here, very nice image of a beach, and you can see within the image that, again, the image has different tags. So the title of this image is Tropical Sea. Okay, that's not really hugely relevant. I've entered in here the alt text, location independent translator. So again, just adding that image, just adding that text in there is going to help in terms of SEO. I probably should also add in a description there. I think you should really add in as much as you possibly can in terms of tags and so on. So then we've got other things that we can fill in here. So we can fill in the focus keyword that I've chosen as location independent translator in this particular case. We've got the SEO title, we've got the meta description, and this is the Yoast SEO plugin that is helping me to add in all of these things pretty much automatically. Up here, again, this is the plugin, is showing me that my SEO is good. My SEO is good. If we have a look at exactly what is going on, where does my keyword appear? My keyword appears in the article heading, it appears in the page title, it appears in the URL. Remember, we were talking about different types of permalinks here. You can edit the permalink, and you can change the permalink settings as well within the WordPress setup. So here's settings, permalinks, and make sure that you've got permalinks that make sense in terms of search engine optimization. So it's saying that my SEO is okay. Let's have a look in a bit more detail. So here it's showing my keyword density is 0.43%, which is a bit low. The keyword was found one time. So remember I said perhaps 3%, so 0.43% is a little bit low. There are 232 words contained in the body copy. This is below the 300-word recommended minimum. Well, this is a podcast episode, and I'm not going to justify that low text, but really I should have written a bit more about this particular episode. It's important to add useful content. The slug for this page is a bit long. Okay, the title that's been converted into the slug here is a bit long. That's something I should look at. So those are things that need improving. These things that are kind of not ideal are kind of okay. So those are things that I can look at as well. And these things in green are the things that I've done right. So I've done something right. I've got one outbound link that is getting me some good points there. I've got images with the alt tags, as we've mentioned a couple of times. The keyword appears in the first paragraph of the copy, so that's good. The meta description contains the primary keyword phrase. I've never used this focus keyword before, so that is good, etc., etc. So I've done quite a few things that are good, quite a few things that are helping the SEO. Now you can see that you don't need to be any kind of SEO expert at all in order to do this. You're just really going into the the blog page, you're writing your text, you're adding all of the categories, and because we've got a plugin, it's telling us exactly what is going on, exactly what we're doing right and exactly what we're doing wrong. So I think that's a really, really amazing plugin, to be honest, and I would really, really highly recommend that you have a look at that. Okay, something else worth having a look at is your web speed. So check out this tool, tools.pingdom.com. How fast is your website and how does it compare to other websites? Let's have a look at Mark Zuckerberg's. How's he doing? Hang on, starting test. Okay, so this normally takes a few seconds to run the speed test. Of course, it probably depends on other factors, but okay, so Facebook.com, 2.21 seconds. That's pretty good. It's faster than 68% of all tested websites, and I'm sure they've got a lot of other things that they need to take into consideration as well. So how fast is your website? Well, I'm going to have a look at one of my websites here. How fast is this particular site? Oh dear, I don't know what's going on here. Some kind of error. I think I did test this site before and it came out quite well, so I don't know what's going on there, but that's a very, very slow load time indeed, and it's coming up today saying it's slower than 91% of all tested websites. Absolutely terrible, and obviously something that I need to have a look at. So it's very, very important to have a good speed on your website. That's going to get you up the Google rankings. Google doesn't like slow loading sites, so if you get a bad result like this one, then make sure you do something about it. So that's something I will certainly be doing something about. Okay, now going back to the area of social media, we've talked about distributing your content and how difficult it can be to do on an ongoing basis. Well, I mentioned Hootsuite. Hootsuite's a pretty good service. I'm actually currently using this app or this setup called Meet Edgar, which I think is very, very good. And the reason I think it's very good is that it allows you to enter content and it automatically reuses it. So let's say you have 100 different posts. Once it gets to 100, it will simply then start again from number 1, and you reuse that content over and over again. So on my particular account here, I've got different social media profiles set up. So I have a LinkedIn profile, I have 3 Facebook profiles, which is my personal one, and 2 company profiles, and I have a company Twitter and my own personal Twitter account. So those are the accounts. You can set up the content to go out on all of those accounts or on any one of them at a particular time, and then it just programs the content for you. It's absolutely great. So you can see that today this is the content that I have going out. I have something going out here on financial markets and accounting. I've got an intelligent English ebook. I've got another ebook going out there. These are free ebooks. I've got a promotional thing for some of my voiceover work. I've got a promotional thing here for translations. I think it's really important that you have a balance. This one here is a podcast on phrasal verbs, a free tool, a free audio for those people who are interested in phrasal verbs. I think it's very important to have a balance between useful content and promotional. That's also helped by Meet Edgar, because you can divide your categories up into particular your posts into particular categories. But you can't just be pumping out, just promoting your own website the whole time. You need to have a balance between offering free, preferably useful content, things that people are going to find valuable, things that people are going to be thankful for, and then interspersed with that, you are going to promote your own particular website or your own particular services. So I think that's the way to do it. Try and get a nice balance between the two. The only issue with this particular application is it costs $49 a month, which is very expensive if you ask me. However, I did take the decision that it was worth it, So far, it does seem to be worth it for me. I have used Hootsuite before. I know others use Social Oomph. There's going to be a different application. There's going to be, and there are free versions of many of those applications. So I would suggest that you check out a free version of something first, try it out, see how it works, see if it's going to work for you. But it's going to cut down your time spent on distribution, that's for sure. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to get through today. Back now to conclusions. SEO efforts can increase your organic traffic. There's no doubt about it. If you spend time on SEO, in my opinion, it will be time very, very well spent. SEO is a constant process. It's not something that you can just do today or this week or even this month. It's something that should be kind of booked into your marketing time. It should be a part of something you do every day or every week or every month on some sort of schedule. That's my recommendation, at least. And finally, I'm going to leave you with this thought. The rewards can be huge. They really can be huge. I would like you to think about the biggest business that you have ever done as a translator, the time that you were working on that biggest ever job. And I want you to think financially about how much that job was worth to you. And now I'm going to make a claim. I don't know your particular situation, but I am going to make a claim. And the claim is that if you really focus on SEO, that within the next 12 months, I believe that you will be able to get 3 businesses that are at least as big as the biggest business that you have ever had. Now, it might be a little bit of an outrageous claim, but I believe it to be true, and I think that you really can get massive, massive rewards from spending some time on search engine optimization. Thank you for listening today. It's been great to be here. I've got a couple of things to say right at the end. Well, the first thing is, could you please leave some feedback with the Alexandria team or to me directly? It doesn't matter, but please leave some feedback. It's so valuable to us, or on Twitter if you prefer. So there's a couple of contact details here at the end. So really, yeah, thanks again for being here. If you have any other questions, that was the other thing I wanted to say. If you have any other questions, if you're struggling with your own particular website or your own particular SEO strategy, then, or you have any questions at all about this presentation, obviously you can ask me right now. But if you don't have time right now for whatever reason, or you have a question afterwards, then please get in touch and I will be more than happy to help you if I can. So thanks very much. All the best.